All right, so what I've just finished, literally minutes before this call, is fixing up the line gun animation for Lucent Studios, who's is doing all of our Anne's animation. So they have Anne, and they're going to be rigging her up, and they're going to be doing the legs. And this originally in the old version, as you know, on YouTube and stuff, is like it's a very slow animation. It goes like 1, 2, 3. So now it just kind of locks in place instantly, and it doesn't have the extra recoil and stuff. So, so that's going to be easy for them to now just put her hands in the right spots and have her thumb hit the button, and then it works. So that's what I literally just finished. And it took a little bit to get it correct because I had to take it into Blender and then export it from Blender and then try to get the FBX to come into this. And then I had to redo the chain animation because the chain broke when I brought it through. So I had to redo that in Cinema 4D. I was trying to figure out how to do that. So that was this week's efforts.
What do you mean it broke?
This whole thing was animated in Blender. And
Yeah.
then in order to get the keyframes, right, all the animation over to Cinema 4D, there's different formats you can export it as. And so one of them's an Alembic, and it's the second kind of most modern, I guess, outside of Universal Scene Description, USD. And Alembic's
The format, you mean?
The format's
Okay.
Alembic. The problem with Alembic is like all the keyframes are gone and the rig is gone. So it just like bakes in the animation, but you can't change it, which is good sometimes. So like in like Spider-Verse or other things, like if you have a character and you like have a professional animator, he's animated, nobody gets to futz with this. Like it's going to stay the same. You want that to send to your like render people, so that way nothing's getting messed with. It's an Alembic, it's baked in. But I want to be able to mess with it, and I want them to be able to change the timing as needed, so I needed to import it. So then it does an FBX, but the FBX isn't as robust, so it doesn't support like deformations, for instance, which is what this chain has to do, because it's just a line. The chain's just a line that's been like wrapped around like another line, right, like a spline. So you draw like a little circle, and then you have it wrap around it, and then you offset where the chain is on that position.
So I love how you just went through all that.
Yeah.
Still doesn't tell me how it broke. Like, did it disappear?
No, so this is how the chain actually looks.
Yeah.
Right? And so so then I have the spline here. What happened is this entire thing would go like
Yeah.
it would go like this. This whole thing.
Oh.
So like
okay.
so like
So
you can see where the path you can see the path here. And so the whole loop of the chain was traveling as one object around the path.
I see.
Yeah. So instead of so it was all going like this instead of it going like what it should do, which is this.
Ah.
I rebuilt it essentially in Cinema 4D. I was just like, this is just going to be faster than trying to import it.
Okay.
So now it all works good, and
Nice.
it's perfectly timed up. So instead of that long animation, it's a short animation. The animation plays smoothly and in 1, 2, 3. Because also before we had it like hit here, and then it stopped, and then it opened, and it stopped, and then it did this, and it stopped, and then it closed, and then actually it went to its third phase, which I don't have it doing, but there's a third phase where it can make a sideways line as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, which is
test one
cool.
that you showed me.
But we're not gonna do that now, so it just goes.
Not really. Yeah, it's not necessary
the
in the
X.
short.
Yeah, so that's that. Get this over to them, and then they should be able to use it without it being a pain to animate, because it also had like originally there's secondary animation on the gun itself. You'll notice like, let's see, the gun itself shakes there.
Yeah.
So that happening makes it a pain to animate, because when that's baked in, you'd have to like bake her hands moving back and forth at the same rate, but also so then her hands would be being driven by the gun, but you want the gun being driven by her hands. So you want to just be able to animate her hands and the gun move, but if you do that, so I had to take all that out and stuff. So, but it's looking so much better now. Yeah, so now it just animates the way it should. It's so cool, dude. I just love.
Who designed it?
This is Gareth Murray, I believe. Samuel. I'll bring up his his
Okay.
art station so people can see it. You can find Sam here, and we actually contacted him because he had designed this other one
That was okay.
just for fun. Yeah, he did like a fan project, and I was like, that looks pretty good. I think you could handle ours. And so then he's done the this one. And he actually has some fun. It's like, this is stuff I'm really bad about sharing, and I need to get better at. But he actually has some fun, like little promotional, like
Hot lumber in your sector.
Yeah.
That's what I'm more inside. What's that? HFA's newest field tool,
Yeah.
unveiling the 2011 Deforestinator.
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, and then he kind of shows how it operates here. There's a whole logic to it. So, like, you know, you could have it just be a beam. So the idea of this is, if it was in the game, it'd be like your catch-all, like, awesome weapon, right? So it shoots a line into the center if you want to just fire like a sniper shot, or you can do specific cuts, right? So you could do a cut this way, because like when you cut a tree, you don't want to cut it just straight in half. It just wouldn't go anywhere, right? You want to cut it with the 2 notches, so that way you can tell which way it's going to fall. And so essentially you could get that type sort of a cut with this, but it can also it can fold in many directions, as you know. So it could also fold just to be, let's see, we got a wide view of this. So you could do like a vertical line, right? Cut that way. You could do the X for like felling, or you could do just a straight horizontal. So it's sort of like the ultimate line gun in Dead Space. And then obviously there's also like the center fire mode, like I said, where it's like more of a condensed beam in the center.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So it's just like a super cool weapon. And when we designed this, actually, what's funny is he's like, well, where's my concept art? Like, I just want the concept art. And I was like, I'm not going to give you any concept art. And he's like, well, why not? And I was like, because I want you to just use your imagination. Like, you know the game. You're going to be better at this than I am. And if I tell you what to make, my original thought was like a shotgun / sniper rifle, right? So it'd have like a bunch of shots, and those could all be consolidated to one. So it could like spread or choke, or like an extreme choke on a shotgun, essentially.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is it's really basic, and it doesn't really tie back to our homage to Dead Space and all that other stuff. I was like, come up with your own thing. And so he was like, okay. And so he came up with a few designs of how it could be work, and it's a hand tool, and it could fold out, which I thought was super cool. And I was like, let's go with that. And then afterwards we did like a little post-mortem, and I'm like, what could we have done better? And he's like, you could have given me a concept, so I don't have to spend 3 weeks coming up with the idea. I'm like, but the whole point is that we came up with a better idea.